Let me give you an example of what it looks like to be married to a competent and capable man who gives a shit. I came home last night to find the entire house had been cleaned. Our Bath & Body Works candles that he ordered had come in, had been lit. The rest of our Christmas decorations had been put up, adorably, by the way. And he had gone and got new Christmas stuff for our boys' bathrooms and put it out after he cleaned it. That's him cleaning the toilet. I also didn't ask him to do any of this. I didn't make him a list of things to do. I didn't leave it out for him. I didn't request that any of this be done. I simply went to work. I came home, and my husband had acted like a completely competent and capable adult who gives a shit about his family, who takes care of his house, who cares about how it looks, and likes to also equitably participate in making Christmas magical for our family.
Welcome to the Coffee Pod. My name is Chisha Zed. Listen, I don't like these videos. I do not like these videos. These videos where what's been insinuated here is that most men are not competent when it comes to responsibilities within the household. Now, do I believe that husbands or somebody who you're living with, maybe you have a boyfriend, should help out with chores within the household? Yes, I do. I personally don't think that most men have a problem with helping out. But I want you to think of the way this whole situation is framed.
Let me give you an example of what it looks like to be married to a competent and capable man.
I want you to think about just the way this whole situation is framed and how she's talking about men like they're Peter Griffin on Family Guy or Homer Simpson's, right? Like he's just some idiot. Maybe that's who you're married to, but I don't see a lot of that when I go to households. Now, do I think there are some men out here who do need to step up when it comes to assisting their woman in the kitchen? Yes, I do think you are ridiculous. And I don't even have time to talk about this, to think that you should never touch a dish, you should never sweep. That's a woman's job and you should never help. That's ridiculous. Any man who thinks that way and does not want to help is not living in reality. Well, Chisha, what if they can afford somebody to help clean? Okay, that's different. That's a whole different discussion right there that we're talking about. So I think most men have no problem. In fact, I go a step further to say that most men probably these days clean, probably these days cook better than most women. I don't know about clean because I think women are just better at paying closer attention to detail. Now, because people act like men and women aren't different and that's the patriarchy and science doesn't exist, they will deny that fact. But there's a reason why women are naturally better at certain things. Let's check out some of these comments in response to what she said there. This comment says, "May this love find me." So of course they want this love. And by the way, this chick is like a feminist dating coach who really pushes partnerships. More on that later. Another comment here reads, "I'm tired of in-laws leaving their sons for us to raise." Here's another comment that says, "This should be normal." Somebody else here says, "It's crazy how unattainable this feels to find." Here's somebody else who says, "This is so rare, it seems like a skit." Is it really that rare? And my thing is, for a lot of these women who are like, oh, he needs to do 50% of chores. That's where I would ask, okay, well, is he bringing in the majority of income? If he is, then it makes sense that you do the majority of chores around the house. But this is what you get, guys, when you entertain the possibility of an equal partnership, as in there's no head of the household. If that's what you don't want to value and you want to get into what she's in, here is something else you have to look forward to. Let's check it out.
I haven't slept with my husband in probably a year. Unintentionally, probably 4 or 5 months. Intentionally, probably 8 or 9 months. And that really gets a lot of people upset and causes them to jump to a lot of conclusions. And when I say sleeping together, I mean literally lying unconscious next to him.
You probably mean also have not slept with him as much too, by just virtue of you not being physically close at night. All right, that's not too far-fetched to assume.
Been sleep divorced for about a year.
Sleep divorced.
Intentionally, 7 months. Unintentionally, a full year. So people ask all the time, like, how did this happen? What do you do? Like, And they honestly, their first thought is that we're unhappy and our marriage is on, the downward spiral. And that's not the case. You should be prioritizing your sleep. Have you ever not slept for an extended period of time? Because this thing is real fucking terrifying when you don't. It's really dangerous for you, for your family. And I experienced it firsthand how fucking dangerous and terrifying it is when you don't sleep for long stretches of time. So I had to prioritize my sleep, and that meant not sleeping with my husband. And that's just the way it is.
Again, I've said this before. If you hear a woman who says, I'm in an equal partnership, what's really going on there when it comes to the power dynamics is she's really in charge, right? This is the type of woman who will sit there and go, yeah, he gets just as much say as I do, right? Tell him, babe, right? He's like, yep, I do. You know, you can just tell, bro. She has to prioritize her sleep. Oh, look at my husband. I finally found a man who's not an idiot.
Because for me to be a functioning adult, for me to be an active mother and wife, I have to prioritize my sleep, and that means sleeping alone. And you know what? We're fine. My husband is fine. I am fine.
There
My
she
marriage
is
is fine.
telling you how her husband is doing.
We don't need your pity. We don't need your sorrow. Everything's okay. If you sleep great next to your spouse, wonderful. Love that for you. If you don't, that's okay. Doesn't mean you love your spouse any less. Doesn't mean that your marriage is on the rocks. Doesn't mean you're headed for divorce. It simply means that you two are confident in your marriage and in your relationship with each other, to know that lying unconscious next to each other for 8 hours a night is not going to be the thing that breaks you. And if it is, your marriage was shit to begin with.
There you go. There you go. Now sleeping in separate bedrooms is a win. Is a win. And do I think that that happens sometimes in marriages? Yes. But this is like an accumulation of problematic scenarios we're looking at here, between her parading her husband as like, hey, look at what my husband, look what I can get him to do. There he is washing dishes. Oh yeah, by the way, I need to prioritize my sleep, right? All right, let's check out some comments here and see what people have to say in response to this video. Oh, she shut the comments off. No, she does not want to hear. It lets me know that if the comments are shut off, then she had all types of people telling her, yo, there's something wrong with this. And probably a lot of married people who are like, well, what's the point?
A day in the life of a mom who has an equal partner. Whenever I talk about the things that my husband does around the house, most men in my comment section will ask me, well, what do you do? And I always say, as an equal partner, I do the exact same things. My husband might take care of the kids' everyday laundry, so I might be in charge of washing the bed sheets. He might do the dishes, clean up the kitchen, clean up the living room, so I'll go ahead and do the vacuuming. He'll be in charge of the meal planning, grocery shopping, and cooking one week, and then the next week, it'll be my turn. He'll get to sleep in one day on the weekend, and I'll get to sleep in the next. He'll purchase gifts for our son's birthday, and I'll go ahead and wrap them. I think the thing that makes our marriage work the most is that we see each other, what the other person is doing, the amount of effort that they're putting in. Therefore, we both feel supported and acknowledged, so we both want to continue to support each other in every way possible. It's not about who does more, and neither of us have to ask the other to step up and do things. It's literally a matter of if we see something that needs to be done, we do it. If I see the trash needs to be taken out, I do it. If I see the boxes need to be taken apart, I do it. There's no keeping score. There's just showing up every day for each other and for our family.
Okay. Last but not least, here's some advice from a feminist dating coach.
Ladies, if you're in a cis-het relationship, I need you to stop doing some things for me, okay? Or if you're even considering being in a cis-het relationship, don't do these things. Don't start cooking for your man. Don't start doing his laundry.
Cis-het relationship? What is she talking about? Hold on. We're going to talk through Miss Coffee here. Cis-het relationship. This is Miss Coffee. What is a cis-het relationship?
A cis-het relationship refers to a romantic partnership between two individuals who are both cisgender and heterosexual. The term cis-het is a portmanteau of cisgender and heterosexual. Cisgender describes individuals whose gender identity aligns with the sex they were assigned at birth. The prefix cis comes from Latin, meaning on the same side as, Teen Vogue. Heterosexual refers to individuals who are sexually attracted to people of the opposite sex. Therefore, a cishet relationship typically involves a cisgender man and a cisgender woman who are romantically and sexually attracted to each other. Sources.
Especially if you don't even live there yet. Don't start taking care of his pets for him. Don't start reminding him of things that you think are important. Do you know why? Because those are going to become expected things from you. And then you're going to fall into this groove of you doing all of these things and him expecting them to be done. And then there's going to be this inequality in your relationship. A lot of women start doing things like this when they get in relationships because they think it makes them feel needed and important to the man in their relationship, because that's what we're ingrained to believe and to think, is to anticipate and take care of other people. So when we get in a relationship, we want to make sure that we're needed. And so we start making ourselves available to these things. We start doing these things like cooking and cleaning and his laundry and reminding him of what you believe to be important dates or important things. And then we set ourselves up for this expectation to continue on throughout the relationship. And then once you finally get to a point, a lot of times it's after you have kids or when you move in together, but sometimes even not at that point, you realize how burnt out and tired you are of being the one who's always doing everything. You're in charge of the meal prep and planning. You're in charge of the cooking. You're in charge of the dishes, loading the dishwasher, unloading the dishwasher, doing the laundry, folding the laundry, remembering to get detergent when you're out, to be the one in charge of planning holidays with your families, the one in charge of making the food for those get-togethers, the one in charge of planning those date nights. When you start doing all those things from the get-go, it's going to become an expectation in your relationship because that's the foundation that you've laid. Because think about it, if your boyfriend starts out, you get in this relationship with him and he starts out sending you flowers every day, sending you good morning texts every day. And then after, a year or two, he just kind of stops. It would be like, hey man, what the fuck? Set out as you mean to go on. You don't have to anticipate somebody else's needs and provide unpaid domestic labor to your partner in order to feel loved, in order to be needed, in order to be important in a relationship. You should be loved and accepted and important without having to provide free domestic labor.
Free domestic labor. So does this go for men paying for bills, right? Don't start paying for bills, because then if you get into a relationship, she might expect you to pay for shit. Or don't protect her, right? If someone comes over and attacks her, let her understand that that's her problem.
Without having to prove your worthiness of that love. So just a little nugget of information, a little reminder for you. If you don't want those things to become expected of you in the long term, don't start doing them from the get-go.
Wild. Previously on the Coffee Pot, feminist dating coach tells women, do not cook, do not clean, do not clean, do not clean, do not clean that man's room or anything, or pretty much do anything that a man would appreciate. Let's get it.
Ladies, do not ever, under any circumstances, ever, and I cannot stress this enough, don't, listen to me, set out as you mean to go on. When you start doing these things, like cleaning, doing his laundry, making his lunches, taking on the labor for him, that's what becomes expected of you. And it makes it so much harder when you come to realize, wow, this is a lot that I'm holding by myself and doing because it's expected of me. And then you're like, hey, I would actually like to offload some of this back to you. Why would they do that? Why would they be like, oh, yeah, sure. It has benefited them greatly for you to do it for a very long time. So I beg of you, don't ever do this. Don't ever start to do it unless you plan on doing it for the duration of your relationship.
Okay. So she's telling women to avoid cleaning a man's room, cooking for him, doing nurturing things to him, because he's going to expect that. And it would unevenly tip what's expected in a household if the relationship was to move forward into a marriage and two people living together in a home or just two people cohabitating. And she's saying you're going to start a trend and an expectation, set an expectation that you are probably going to regret that you have to keep up. You're telling women to not be their natural selves, which is a lot more nurturing than men, and tell them to hold off. This is terrible advice because how else is that man supposed to see the good qualities that that chick possesses, that woman possesses? How else is he supposed to gauge that she is a quality woman if he wants and values a woman who's going to cook, who's going to clean? How else is he going to know that she does that if she never does it? And this is why women are horrible at giving each other advice. Listen, guys, as always, I appreciate you for checking out yet another episode of the Coffee Pod. If you are engaged or married, fathershaverights.com is where you can get legal information, free legal information also, to legally set yourself up for success for your marriage. We're talking about prenuptial agreements here. Consider joining Brew Brothers, a community of men who value fatherhood and family. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.